we finally starting to feel the outside heat on the inside. It's 3:30, so I knew it was going to happen eventually. It's supposed to be about 104 today, I think. Hopefully going to be the hottest day, and then have it cool down a little bit after this. But yeah, it's been a hot week. It's been interesting few days. Saturday, I went to the Pod Save America recording down in Portland, downtown, that I had bought tickets for, and it was pretty good. John Lovett wasn't there. He has COVID. I was very sad because he's my favorite. And I brought a shirt to get signed, and they were up on the stage and we didn't see them or whatever when it ended, so I thought, aw. But then after it ended, I was standing out on the street and I happened to catch them right as they were walking out, and they were kind enough to let me take a selfie, and they signed my shirt and told them a little bit about my channel. I wish that I had been a little more prepared and asked, complimented them on their stuff more, but whatever. And then it was only 10 o'clock, and it was, Saturday night down in Portland, so I decided to go. I was gonna go to Sanctuary, the sex club, and I accidentally went to a different club in the same building on the ground level called, I think, Cherry, and it was $25 cover, and I walk in and it's like Latino music and not a sex club, and I'm just like, this is not, what? Did it change? Because I haven't been to Sanctuary in 4 years, and I only briefly went there the one time. I've been I've mostly been to Club Privada, which I think I went to once, sort of. I mean, it's not post-COVID, but since COVID began, wearing masks and everything like that, and the food was to order instead of a buffet anymore or whatever, and it was decent, but I didn't want to have to repark my car, and Club Privada was like 20 blocks away, and downtown Portland's a little bit scary when you're, a woman alone, so I didn't want to walk that far, and it felt like a waste of money to take a lift, so I went to Sanctuary, and but yeah, I accidentally went into this other place, and these two black guys were standing awkwardly off in the corner. They looked kind of as lost as I did, and so I just started talking to them. Turns out they're brothers who, one has lived in Portland for a long time, and then the other one just moved to Portland from Jersey, and they moved away from Nigeria at 15, so they still had accents, which is kind of interesting that, what happened, because they're in their 30s, mid-30s like me. I think 34, 35, I don't know, somewhere really, really close to my age. They had just come down from Sanctuary, and I was like, oh, Sanctuary's up there, and they're like, yeah, do you want to go back? I'm like, okay. So we went back, and I just talked to them the whole time, and I told them, straight up, I am not interested in guys. I want to find a girlfriend or whatever, but they still kept, it was a decent conversation, except that occasionally they'd be like, so have you ever been with a black man? It was like, well, part of I'm only interested in women, or I'm not listening to. But anyway, they were actually looking for people to cheat on their wives with, which I was like, well, if I preach to them not to, it's not going to make a difference. So I just kind of was like, I think it's going to cause more problems for you down the line if you try to keep this big secret. And, it's better to have a honest conversation with them about, and they insisted that Nigerian women are very different, and it's understood that men will have their mistresses, and then the wives are the wives or whatever. And I worship her. I bring I take care of her, and it's like, you obviously don't worship her if you're out here trying to cheat on her. But anyway, so I talked to them for a while, and then they decided to go back to the other club and try to find girls, because I made it obvious I wasn't interested. And then I was wandering around Sanctuary a little bit, and it was pretty. There were people there, but they were all just sitting there talking to each other, and they're little cliques. It was not particularly exciting. I think there was someone off being spanked in one corner, but it's whatever. And I was wandering around, and I saw this really, really pretty girl, and then this he seemed like a twink, but apparently he was straight, which I feel kind of bad for making an assumption, but I don't know. sitting next to each other, and I thought they had come together, and I just started talking to them. It turns out that she had just met the guy, and he said he had to go pee, and he went off to go pee, and we were like sitting there, the girl and I were just sitting there talking, and then this other like adult, you know, middle-aged guy like basically sat down and like joined our conversation. We were talking literally about abortion, because the girl apparently had recently had one, and we were talking about like stressing out over, you know, the Supreme Court and everything, and she was telling me about some of the abuse she's endured and everything like that, and how she's a sex worker, and I of course was like, you know, Kenny's gonna make fun of me, but I was like, you know, this is my content and it would be great to interview you or whatever. But talked to her a lot, and then yeah, this guy like kind of forced himself into the conversation, so I was like, okay. And then she had to go pee, and she's like, you want to come? I was like, okay. So we went to the bathroom, and we were still talking, and it was like I like turned around while she was going, and she's like, I don't care, and I was like, okay, like and then afterwards she wanted to go outside to vape, and so I went outside with her, and was still talking to her, and we were still talking about abortion, and this like sort of stoner seeming guy is like walking by as we're talking about abortion, and he inserted himself in the conversation, which, I mean, whatever, like I don't know, like, I'm not, as long as it, you know, they're not trying to take the conversation away from what it was and make it about themselves, I guess I'm fine with it. But it's just like, guys always be inserting themselves into into women's conversations. Anyway, and he like offered pot, and she wanted to, and like I didn't feel, even though I just met her, like I felt slightly responsible for her and just didn't want to like let her go off with this guy by herself, so I went with them. And we went to his apartment, which was nearby, and it was like basically empty because he had just recently moved there, and it was a historical building. The elevator didn't work, and there was like trash in the entryway, but anyway, and like, I mean, I was on my guard like the whole time, like I'm like, you know, ready to like scream and kick and run or whatever, but it was just the one guy and the two of us. But and then we went onto the rooftop, and we're like all talking, and they were smoking, and I was sitting off to the side. I did not partake. I don't enjoy pot, plus I had to drive anyway. And also, in addition to that, like, even if I was gonna, I wouldn't do it around strangers. I don't know, it was just a really interesting conversation, and started getting really late, and I like mentioned going to a restaurant or whatever, and this guy who literally they had just been smoking pot was like, oh, I can drive, I'm good. And I'm like, I'd rather walk somewhere. So we just walked to a local place and got some food, and then after the food I was like, well, you guys can have fun, but I need to go to bed. And the girl was like, no, I want to go to bed too. So yeah, anyway, basically we all went our separate ways. But it was a little scary when I got back to my car, because I had parked in a underground structure that was under a mall, and like I had asked one of the people working at the mall before I walked away, like, can I get my car later? And they were like, yeah, people come and go all night, so no problem. So when I went back to my car, all the doors were locked, and there was no way to get into the structure. And I had a number on the ticket, and I called the number on the ticket, and it went to someone's voicemail. And I was just like wandering around, deserted, you know, except for a couple of people wandering around, mysterious men wandering around deserted streets. And there was like a old style hotel nearby, and I went in there and I talked to the bellman, and he had a different number, and he was very nice, and he called a different number and managed to get a security guy who came and unlocked the door, so I was able to get my car. But yeah, it was like, what the fuck do I do? And yeah, the other thing that happened at one point while I was there is I was walking from where the podcast thing was over to where the clubs were, and I walked past a couple of guys like in different corners that were like screaming obscenities and like just being mentally unstable. And it was like, would it be really rude if I like went the far way to not go near them, or is it more dangerous if I go right next to them? I don't know. I ended up like going on the same corner, but just like giving them a wide berth because there were other people around. If there weren't other people around, yeah. But yeah, I'll admit downtown Portland is kind of scary, but any city in the evening is by yourself is scary. And not just cities, but like anywhere where you're not like best friends with everyone in your area is scary. But yeah, I got home, and when I got home, it was like 3 in the morning. Because I like to make the most of it. If I go down into Portland, I went all that way. I got all like gussied up with a dress and makeup and everything. Like, I want to make the most of it. Aiden was in bed because apparently he had woken up saying his throat hurt. I think he got my strep throat, which I haven't felt. My throat hasn't hurt at all for like 3 days or 4 days now, but I think he got it. So he was in bed, and he was feverish or whatever, and so like I'm awkwardly trying to share the bed with Matthew and him, so I didn't sleep very well. And then the kids woke me up really early, so I was just fucking exhausted all Sunday. And the other thing that's been weird is that, like, the earlier part, or the later part of last week, I suddenly, like, was just feeling really inspired and really want to do everything, like, hence my, even strep throat can't keep me down last vlog or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, Friday, Saturday, it changed to anxiety, and I started feeling like I'm forgetting something really important. What, like, I don't know, just this feeling of anxiety. And then yesterday, we got a letter from the sort of timeshare-ish thing that my mom has been paying maintenance fees into this whole time after signing up for them when I was a kid. And even though, like, we weren't close enough and she didn't have the health to go to it for over a decade, they just kept sending letters saying, you owe us money, you owe us money. So she kept paying it. And last year, September, I sent them a copy of my mom's death certificate, and I sent them a letter that was basically like, my mom is dead, fuck off and die. And the thing they sent yesterday was just a generic, you owe us money. And like, someone wrote in hand on the, like, the whole, it was text that was super standard that's like, you owe us money, here's an envelope, send us money. And on the bottom, someone wrote, Michelle or Michaela, please contact SM. And then, like, someone's initial. And it's like, I assume SM stands for Sarah McKeever. So they didn't even read or acknowledge that I told them that she's dead. And so I'm just ignoring it because, honestly, like, in the contract, all it says is that if you don't pay, you lose access to the grounds, which, big whoop. And, like, the worst they could do is, like, even still, it's like unrealistic, but they could like maybe report my dad to collections or something. But my dad doesn't buy anything. Like, credit doesn't mean anything to him. So I don't know. It's stupid, but it's still anxious because it's like they bully people, and there's like posts online of other people on fixed income that are like, they keep sending me these bills and I can't get rid of it or whatever. And my mom signed up for all this shit when I was literally like 10. I was not given a choice in any of this. And unfortunately, the internet is not only full of timeshare scams, but also timeshare reselling scams. They're very, symbiotic parasites. So like you look into like, just trying to find, I don't know, even like lawyers that specialize in timeshare or whatever, and you'll get all these companies that basically are like, pay us money and we'll resell your timeshare. But there's no guarantee, and like almost all these companies, they will just take your money and run and not do anything with it. And they prey on people like my mom and, these other people leaving forum messages about like, why do they keep charging me money? They have no legal standing to do anything to us, but it's scary when they start like, sending you messages like, oh, we're going to, send you a collection or whatever. But yeah, I'm just going to ignore them. Fuck them. If they really did try to sue us, which I don't even know how they would have the grounds to, but if they did, I'm going to put together a collective lawsuit with all these other people that they've just been like charging money into the ground. And, because one of the main things is like when they sold the thing, they had access to this lake for fishing, and they lost access to that lake decades ago to a land developer. So right up there, false advertising. You sold it as if you have access to this lake for fishing, and then you lost access. So, yeah. Anyway, but it's just funny because I was already feeling anxious before that, and then that letter comes, and now I'm like, but again, they didn't even acknowledge that my mom's been dead for 1.5 years. So, I feel a little bit better today. Not quite so anxious. It is hot today. It was really hot yesterday. It's going to be hot for the rest of the week. I don't know when it's supposed to get out of the 90s. They've changed the weather report a couple of times, but today, I actually spent, sorry, nose is running. Today was on the computer and I decided I was going to start live streaming. Blow my nose. Ooh, so sexy. Allergies that never quit. Alright, so anyway, today I decided randomly to start live streaming while I check on messages and stuff. And so I did. I started live streaming as I was like reading emails and stuff like that. And like I wasn't reading any, I was only showing me, I wasn't showing the screen. And I wasn't reading anyone's like personal info out or whatever. But you know, as I got a gross message, I'd read it aloud so that the people in the room and I could both be like together or whatever. At the start of the video, Link was in the bathroom and I told him over and over and over, do not come outside naked. If you're going to be in front of the camera at all, you need to have full clothes on. And I gave him clothes. And luckily I had the camera angled so that you couldn't see the bathroom door. Because after like 10 minutes, he came out of the bathroom buck naked. And I'm like, Link! So I ran over and I like shut the door and I was like, put on the clothes that are in there. So finally he did. And so like the whole time I was streaming after that, I was like, are you dressed? Are you dressed? Are you dressed? Link's going to get me so much trouble someday. I did manage to get through my email and through the private messages on OnlyFans. I didn't get through all the comments because OnlyFans comment checking is dumb and broken. I don't really use OnlyFans, as discussed. They take a huge cut, and also I resent using a website that's porn. People go to OnlyFans to look for porn. And also apparently OnlyFans was taking all my old posts down anyway. I had basically been like putting up my videos, my old videos, and being like, you know, you can just watch them for free, but if you really want to like help pay for stuff, you can do it here, but it's better if you donate on Patreon anyway so that they don't take such a huge cut. And so of course OnlyFans banned those posts because I was linking to other websites. So it's just like, I don't give a shit about OnlyFans. Like, it's just weird to me that like at VidCon or whatever, people are like, oh, why don't you use OnlyFans? It's like, because it's a sex site, and I don't want to have to use a sex site just to have my female nipples up, plus charging money to access my content. It's just, anyway. So I just thought that was funny, because like I already don't use OnlyFans. And then I had just started to check Instagram messages, and then it was like 3 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I've been streaming since like 10, so I'm going to stop now. Matthew just texted me to say he's going to be home late. Hopefully he's not working outside. Shit keeps going wrong for him. Like machines not working and stuff at work, so he keeps having to stay late, which I feel really bad. My neighbor, who's already had a bunch of bad stuff happen to her, just got totaled by a drunk driver and broke her neck, and the drunk driver doesn't have registration and doesn't have insurance. I told her, you know, you still gotta sue him. Like, I don't care if he says he has no money. He failed a sobriety test and he totaled your car and he broke your neck. Like, you need to drive him into the ground. But of course, lawyers cost money and time and energy, and it's just like, and this is like just the latest on the list of so many terrible things that keep happening to this poor woman. And I told her, if nothing else, we got to put together a GoFundMe for you to at least, you know, try to pay your medical bills or, you know, get you a new car or something like that. Because that's the world we live in. That's the country we live in. Rich people don't have to pay any taxes, so it's all among us non-rich to support each other in things that, you know, other countries give their citizens automatically, like healthcare. Everything's terrible. It felt very weird being inspired last week while thinking about how terrible everything is, and now I'm back to like, no, yeah, everything's terrible. But I did enjoy live streaming while I went through the messages, because like I said, I said it on the stream, it was almost like they were like friend coworkers, and we were all like sitting in the office together, you know. I mean, I was on video and they were in the chat room, but I still, you know, I read and respond to everything in the chat, so it's not like, you know, it's live interaction. But and the messages weren't so bad this time. I did go through almost all my messages in May, so, you know, that's only like 2 months worth of accumulation to go through. But and of course I kept like having to stop and switch tabs because I got a new video idea here and there and here and there and here and there, so write it down. And it's just, I still have so many video ideas, but Link is around all the time. The idea was floated. It had been floated before, but I thought about it more, doing hot tub interviews, basically trying to encourage people to come over to my hot tub, and we could like sit there in our bikinis, and even if they present male, I'd probably have them wear a bikini to make, you know, a fairness point, and like do our interview in the hot tub. and then maybe go to the gamer bar or whatever. Problem is, all the interesting people I meet are down in Portland, and getting people to drive north outside of Portland to the suburbs is like fucking impossible. Maybe I could pay them for it and get them to do it. I don't know. You know, use what's left of my dead mom's life insurance to pay them. But yeah, it was an idea. I will do a video with Philip sometime. My friend who started out as, he actually found me on Plex Storm and then became like one of the most, you know, loyal supporters or whatever. And he's helping me build a really good computer now that's actually going to be capable of running Blender, because it's on my to-do list to also learn how to do Blender and to, I guess, live stream topless while I learn how to do Blender, because Zan, who's a regular who refuses to use, you know, mainstream social media, insists that there's a market for people who will watch like a 12-hour live stream of someone playing in Blender. So let's milk that. I actually just want to learn Blender. Like, I'm very artistic, and I would like to learn 3D stuff. But anyway, I got to figure out what I'm going to make for dinner. I just thought I'd update a little bit. Oh, and our TV broke. It wouldn't turn on for a while, and then now it turns back on, but there's like a big white line bisecting the screen, and it's really hard for me to ignore. And I contacted Samsung to see about getting a tech out, and they just called me like right before I started recording and said that the new component alone would be like $1,200+ plus labor. So it'd be better to just buy a new TV. I have another TV that is like half the size that was just upstairs that I was going to use for live streaming video games, but I was already intending to get a new monitor anyway with my new computer, so I can just use the new monitor to stream. But, you know, first world problems. It's fine. Whatever. We have the other TV. All right, I gotta go figure out what to make for dinner and try not to die in the heat. So, see you later.